please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hi, very good morning. You're watching Trading Hour on CNBC TV18. I'm Ekta Batra. With me is Prashant Nair, and it's a fresh start to the week, and it is on a positive note. So the Nifty, in fact, is now at a fresh record high again. It has been fresh record highs for multiple trading sessions, so 10,600. And what we are seeing is that trend continuing into this week as well, where the mid-caps are outperforming. So the mid-cap index is up around 0.7%. This week is going to be important because we have a lot of key earnings, and officially earnings season for Q3 kicks off. We have GAIL, Karnataka Bank. We keep talking about the likes of Infosys and TCS, which is this week, but these stocks are in focus on account of numbers as well. And talking about today, we have a lot of stocks in focus. For example, Pharma, top earners on the Nifty, up around 3-odd%. JSPL, which is spiked up around 8-odd%. Nitesh Estates doing well, up 10-odd%. And something like Walkhart, which is now at around 1,000-odd rupees. So that stock should come up for you as well. So it's an exciting start to the week. Let's see whether we hold the momentum. Hi, Prashant.
Matching the US market for tick by tick, I mean, almost, right? I mean, incredible gains there as well. And I think here it's absolutely no different with the kind of move that we're seeing. So, I mean, as we begin the show, I think Ekta set us up nicely with what's happening overall. But look at what's happening. I mean, you know, some of these stocks which have not moved for a while are starting to move. Indigo is a case in point. You know, the company sold stock recently. The second promoter sold stock recently at 1130, 1140 odd rupees. It's done nothing for a while. It's starting to move once again, 2% higher on an Interglobe. Aviation has not had the most pleasant news most recently. You know, look at something like a Capital First. Again, you know, spent a lot of time around that, between that 680 to about 700, 710 levels. Capital First is broken out, 750, 751. Look at something like an RBL Bank. Spent a lot of time around 500, 510 or so, but now 550, I think around 550 or so, 545 as we speak. So, I mean, and these are all large stocks, you know, A-group stocks, which after a fair bit of time consolidation are starting to move a little bit. So watch the space. I mean, if actually financials start to come back, they've not done very much over the last, what, 4-5 months now. But if they start to make a comeback, I mean, you get more momentum overall, broadly speaking, in the market. Let's get some strategies, as always, right in the top of the show before we go any further. And I think we are going across to our futures and options guest first. Rahul Shah is with us, Associate Vice President, Equity Advisory at Motilal Oswal. Rahul, good morning. What would you do?
I think obviously you have discussed a lot of stocks. In that, I think Pharma tops the list. I think after a lot of time, this stock has showing a very good strength. And we've seen an addition in futures as well as technically also stock has given a good breakout. So I think that's top of my mind. Buy Sun Pharma with a stop loss of 585, target of 630. Second is a lot of NBFCs have been showing good signs. In that space, I think Manappuram Finance, I think closer to its 52-week high, stock has again shown a good sign strength. Good addition is also in OI. So I would buy Manappuram with a stop loss of 122 and target of 135. Third stock being in Mahindra & Mahindra. Again, slowly and steadily the stock has been inching higher, and we've seen a good amount of, again, volume-based longs built up in the stock. So I would go long on Mahindra with a stop loss of 745 and target of 785.
Okay, all right, Rahul, we're going to let you go on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and taking us through all of those strategies. We have Sudarshan Sukhani joining in this morning to tell us what he's strategizing as well. Sudarshan, over to you then. Fresh Monday morning, fresh start to the week. We have the global cues on our side. So what would you be recommending going long?
Yeah, good morning. Fresh everything and fresh lifetime new highs also for the Nifty. The recommendation is to go long. This is a short-term trade, but at least for the day, for the couple of days, we should be long in the Nifty and long in the Nifty Bank. So this is a short-term trade on the long side, which traders should take. Lifetime new highs should be bought into. Stocks are again on the buy side itself. There are so many mid-caps buzzing. You've already been talking about so many of them. Bharat Forge is a buying opportunity. The stock is in a sustained uptrend. It's breaking out from a small range. That's the classical way an uptrend develops. Big moves, trading consolidation, then a breakout to another big move. So that's Bharat Forge for you. It's a buy. Biocon is also a buying opportunity. Biocon has the same pattern as Bharat Forge, big moves, consolidations. So it does tell us that mid-caps still continue to outperform. And Shriram Transport Finance comes in the buy list after a long time, thanks to all that bond discussions that you have been having and the yields and prices. This stock is now coming into play. So this is a short-term trade. Again, consider buying it. Overall, we on the long side of the market.
Okay, so those are three ideas from Sudarshan. Let's get some queries answered now. We have Bharati, who's writing in 1,000 shares of Sun TV. Cost is 1,000 rupees a share. Wants to know what to do with the stock near term. Sudarshan, Sun TV.
Well, the cost is almost at the highs, so it's not as if there is big money coming in it. But since you've already bought it, stay with it. Be a long-term investor in Sun TV. A stock that moves to new highs consistently and regularly tells us it's going much higher. But it may or may not perform in the next few days. Have a longer-term view and hold.
Okay, we have Sandeep who's writing in and he's got 50 shares of Motherson Sumi purchased at 373 rupees a share and wants to know what to do. Sudarshan.
Well, hold on. This is one of the best auto ancillary companies in the country. You don't worry about the price, minor fluctuations, hold on, wait for 3 years, and you'll be surprised at the gains you make. Stay with it, hold.
All right, Sudarshan, thanks very much. Appreciate you coming in with those trades, with those calls. We will chat up with you soon again. 56 points on the Nifty, 10,615. And it's looking pretty good. About 1,400 stocks are higher compared to about 680 stocks which are lower on the NSE. So, I mean, market breadth, etc. All 6 points on the Nifty, so pretty solid across. Just want to highlight a couple of stocks before we go any further. Jindal Steel was up, 13-14% actually in the morning. That's up just about 7.5%, so still looking good. Wockhardt is up about 6.75%. These are also all stocks in the futures and options list. 1,005 on Wockhardt. Look at something like a Mindtree, which is up about 5.25%, large volume, 635 there. IDFC Bank is coming up with about a 4% gain, 61 plus. We've been highlighting Capital first on and off since the morning. Manappuram is up about 3.33% at about 125. And something like a Just Dial, which is up just under 3% at about 570 rupees or so. In terms of large cuts, I mean, you got to just look at the telecom stocks. So one is Idea, which is down 5.25%, and Bharti, which is down about 3.25% or so. You know, the other big there's no other meaningful loser, at least not in the single stock future segment. India Cements comes up as a third top loser with the 1.25% cut. So it's all to the gainers today, pretty widely skewed. We'll get a quick commodity check now. Manisha, as always, is here with what's happening in that market. Also, of course, a quick brush up of what's happening in the currency space. Manisha, good morning.
Morning, and thank you so much for that, Prashant. Well, the buzz really continues in the energy sector, and not just the crude oil prices. You have to take a look at the gasoline prices, the heating oil prices, because with the kind of winter demand that you are seeing in much of East Coast and northern part of America, these prices definitely seem to be getting a boost. So if the crude oil prices gained up by 1% in the previous week, you had the natural gas prices up by 5%, which is now 15% up in last 2 weeks itself. The supplies, of course, has been a concern as there has been pipeline freeze in many of those producing and flowing areas. But the demand, of course, has been much on the higher side. Actually, in the last week in US, we have seen a record high one-day demand coming in on the New Year's Eve itself is what you have seen come in many years there. So, of course, because of the strong demand, we have seen support come in. Just a quick word on the other numbers here. If you look at the kind of inventories that the natural gas holds, it's 2.5% below its 5 years average. The rig count, while of course, is 88% less than what it has been as the highest number. It still is 37% ahead if you compare it year-on-year basis. There you have the prices. 2.5% of gains is what we have seen today. As I said, we already have gained 5% in last week, and we've started 2.5% on the higher side today. So this is one thing to keep an eye on, definitely. Gnanshekhar then joins us to talk more about on what the strategies herein could be. Gnanshekhar, what is your sense? Because even as the crude oil prices are holding around those 3-year highs, it clearly is the natural gas which is back, and how, especially when you look at the 50 days, 100 days, 200 days moving average, it's climbed above all of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have a US cold season that's predominantly in focus. Natural gas prices, which were reeling under pressure some time back, has really come back. And, it's like gold and silver. I think silver tends to run away when you have a rally. The same thing happens to natural gas. So it's clearly till the cold season is over, I think this bullish rally could extend further from here. So we're looking at something like 200, 210 in the near term.
Also, what is your sense for the crude oil prices now? Because while we did see a pullback on Friday, we are back here on Monday with nearly 1/4 to 0.5% of gains yet again.
Yeah, I think there are near-term factors that are going to continue pushing prices higher. You've also seen the drilling activity coming down in the US, which has been a huge deterrent. Plus the cold season demand. All that is quite positive in the near term. But the thing is, it's unable to decisively cross certain key resistances. So that's a worry. So the overall picture is to be cautious, but then the short-term to near-term picture is the buy and dips.
Gnanshekhar, how would you look at 2018, especially when it comes to the gold prices? I mean, having said, after trading below $1,300 for a good 6 months, we have started this year on that, and we've actually built up on those gains. $1,320 seems to be a pivot right now, $2-3 plus minus that is how we are trading. At these higher prices, of course, the physical buying in the Indian markets is just not coming. But internationally, with the kind of weakness in US dollar, the geopolitical concerns, do you see that making its way here?
I think in the near term, there is clearly strength with the dollar weakness and, potentially the Chinese New Year demand, Lunar New Year demand setting in shortly. So all these factors should keep it sort of bid if it comes close to 1,300 or below that. But sustainable rally is a big question here, because, all these factors, will it overpower the fact that there are going to be more rate hikes in 2018? So that's a very key thing for gold. So in the near term, I would still be on the buying side. But again, in the domestic market with the rupee appreciation, that's becoming more difficult. So one should hedge the rupee and then buy the MCX gold futures.
Well, nothing much to incrementally talk about, except for the fact that it is not a good day for a lot of these telecom companies. So Bharti Airtel is your top loser on the Nifty. That stock is down 3.5%. We have Idea, which is down around 5%. And remember, there was a cautious note which came out from a brokerage with regards to Idea, and I think reiterated the concerns with regards to leverage on Idea despite all of what has taken place. So those two stocks stand out. And besides that, we have a couple of stocks, however, which are really flying away in the broader market. So for example, something like a Pincon Spirits should come up for you. A lot of these, the United Spirits of the world have been rising. So Pincon Spirits, for example, this year itself, which is around a week of a trading session, has already given returns of around 23 to 24%. And something like a Satin Credit Care is also zooming today. That stock is up 12.5%, and Menin Bearings is also doing quite well, and even something like Snowman Logistics, just to give you a flavor in terms of the type of stocks which are seeing double-digit gains in the broader markets. Not one specific sector, but across the board is what we're seeing. The other stock in focus has to be JSPL, Jindal Steel and Power, which will be raising 1,000 crores via QIP in the month of Feb. That's the word coming in from the chairman, Naveen Jindal himself. Speaking to CNBC TV18's Anshu Sharma, Jindal adds the company will also raise equity for its Oman operations. So let's listen in to the management on the same.
We have always been a standard account. It is just out of some technical issues of RBI, because they are very, very strict. RBI has very strict guidelines.
Right.
And just on those technical grounds, a certain few banks had become NPA. But because the same RBI policies, which talks that if for a year your account has been standard and operating, the banks can actually write back that amount. They can standardize your account. So we meet that criteria also. And I hope that soon banks are going to standardize their accounts. And no bank, I reiterate, that no bank has lost a single rupee with JSPL, and no bank will lose a single rupee with JSPL. And today all our accounts are absolutely standard and performing.
Okay, coming back to there is no deferment of payment to banks or any delay in payment. Let me ask you, how's the debt scenario, consolidated as well as standalone? What is the debt equity ratio?
So a debt equity ratio would be, I'm not exactly sure, would be I think 1.6, 1.7 is to 1. And so it is, our debts are sustainable. And we are also looking at raising some amount of equity next month, and for which we are getting a lot of interest in the equity of JSPL, because the upside in case of JSPL is huge. So we feel that whatever we have spoken about, whatever we have said, we have outperformed that always. And even now, I feel that there is going to be a great upside. And steel prices have also improved. Even though raw material prices have gone up, but steel prices have also improved, and there is a good demand for all our products. So we are very confident that going forward, things are going to be much, much better.
So how much are you raising and how will you utilize that?
We are going to be raising only about 1,000 crores. And we are going to be utilizing it mostly for some debt repayment and just completion projects we have completed. But some we need to pay to our suppliers and stuff. Some, a lot of creditors are there. So just to clear all those payments.
You also understand that some of the bankers were here at the Angul plant. Do you intend to take some more loan, and if yes, what would that be used for?
A small portion, maybe around 1,000 to 1,500 crores of priority debt. Again, for long-term working capital requirements and for the capex that we have incurred. So for which we need some loans.
You also had plans for Oman, if we could go overseas. You wanted to bring in the IPO. When does that happen, especially at a time when the prices are high and things are looking up?
So first we want to do in India, whatever equity raising in February. Then March, April. I feel that March, April will start the process. And then we are looking at raising some equity in Oman. Again, you're right, the prices are very good in the Middle East. That plant is doing very well. And Oman, we always had to take the plant to full capacity. We used to have shortage of natural gas by around 10%. So government of Oman has been very, very supportive and encouraging. And they have whatever gas requirement was there, they have allocated that gas to us. So now we will be able to operate the plant, in fact, on 110, 115% capacity level.
What happens to other assets, Mozambique, Australia?
So Mozambique and Australia, because the coking coal prices are very good right now. So both the operations, we hope that by March, both the operations will turn green. I mean, in the sense they will turn positive and profitable. So we are busy at present to ramp up the production, both in Australia and Mozambique. And by March, we are confident that they will also become...
what levels would that be?
They'll be very small. But at least if they start giving us positive EBITDA, they start to recover the interest that we have to pay, that we will be happy with that.